They never text first. They don't say I love you back, not on time. They disappear for days, then act like nothing happened. And you think maybe they're just cold, but they're not. You fell for someone who made you believe if you were calm enough, perfect enough, low maintenance enough, they'd finally stay. But here's the truth. They didn't leave. They were just never fully there. Here's what nobody tells you. They're not avoiding you. Asterisk, they're avoiding a feeling that love means losing themselves. And once you understand that, you stop chasing, you stop shrinking, you stop performing, and suddenly you become the one person they can't walk away from. Because playing to an avoidance fantasies isn't manipulation, it's not tricks, it's not games. It's understanding the psychology at a level deep enough that you stop being a threat and start being the one safe place they've ever known. Stay with me, because this one is going to change the way you see every relationship you've ever had. Comment the word safe if you've ever loved someone who ran the moment things got real. Drop safe right now. Let's see who's in this with me. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a relationship where you felt like you were always just a little too much, a little too emotional, a little too needy, a little too present? And the more you tried to get close, the more they pulled away. Like you were chasing someone down a corridor that just kept getting longer. You'd have a beautiful moment, a laugh, a touch, a conversation that felt like it actually meant something. And then the next day they'd be cold, not cruel, just gone, behind glass. And you'd replay it. What did I do? Was it something I said? Did I push too hard? Did I not push hard enough? That cycle, that exhausting, confusing, soul-draining cycle, that's not you being crazy. That's you being in a relationship with an avoidant. And today, I want to talk about something that sounds almost counterintuitive. I want to talk about the avoidant's inner world, their fantasy. The thing they want more than anything, but are absolutely terrified to ask for. Because once you understand what's actually going on inside them, not what it looks like from the outside, but what's actually driving the behavior, everything shifts. You stop taking it personally. You stop making it about your worth. And if you want to stay in that relationship, not because you're addicted to the chaos, but because you genuinely love this person, you'll know exactly how to show up in a way that doesn't trigger their deepest alarm system. Let's get into it. Who is the avoidant, really? First, we need to drop the villain narrative, because pop psychology has done avoidance dirty. We've turned them into the bad guy, the emotionally unavailable nightmare, the person who strings you along and keeps you guessing and somehow always gets to leave the relationship first and still be fine. That's not who they are. That's what trauma does to a person. Avoidant attachment isn't a character flaw. It's a survival strategy. And it was brilliant once. When an avoidant was a child, they learned something. They learned that needing people was dangerous. Maybe their parents were emotionally unavailable, cold, dismissive. Maybe when they cried, no one came. Maybe when they expressed need, hunger, fear, loneliness, they were told to stop it. Grow up. Don't be so sensitive. So their nervous system adapted. It said, okay, I see how this works. Needing people leads to pain, so I won't need people. I will become self-sufficient. I will become independent. I will make myself so capable and so contained that I will never have to depend on anyone for anything emotional ever again. And for a while, that worked. The kid who didn't cry got praised. The teenager who didn't need reassurance seemed mature. The adult who never complained seemed low maintenance and easy. They built an identity around not needing. And then they fell in love, and everything broke. Here's the thing about love. You cannot love someone without needing them. Not really. Real love, the kind that goes deep, that roots, that actually sustains a human life, requires dependency, vulnerability, the terrifying act of saying, I need you, and I'm trusting you not to destroy me for it. For most of us, that's just love. That's Tuesday. For the avoidant, that is the most dangerous thing imaginable. Because every time they feel themselves getting close to someone, every time they feel that pull of real attachment, that warmth, that softening, their nervous system fires an alarm. Not a metaphorical alarm, a biological one. Their body actually experiences closeness as threat, as danger, as the precursor to the pain they spent their whole childhood learning to protect themselves from. So they do what they've always done. They pull back, they go cold. They create distance, not because they don't love you, because they do. And that's the most terrifying part. The The closer you get, the louder the alarm. The louder the alarm, the faster they run. And here's where it gets really painful for the person on the other side. You feel them pulling away, and you panic. Of course you do. Your nervous system, probably anxious, probably trained by early experiences of inconsistency, reads their withdrawal as abandonment, as rejection, as proof that you are not enough. So you do what you do. You pursue. You reach out more. You try harder. You make yourself more available, more understanding, more accommodating. And what does that do to the avoidant? It cranks the alarm up to full volume. Now, they're not just feeling the discomfort of closeness, they're also feeling smothered. They're feeling the exact same feeling they had as a kid when someone was too much, too intense, too demanding, and they run harder. This is the anxious avoidant trap, and it will destroy you both if you don't understand what's actually happening underneath it. What the avoidant actually wants now, here's where I want to shift. Because we spend so much time talking about what avoidants do, the withdrawal, the deactivation, the stonewalling, the hot-cold cycle, that we almost never talk about what they want, what they actually want underneath all of that armor. And I want you to really sit with this. The avoidant wants to be loved, not performatively, not cautiously, not from a distance. They want to be loved fully. They want a partner who stays, who doesn't collapse under the pressure of their withdrawal, who doesn't make their need for space feel like a crime, who doesn't turn every moment of distance into a 5-hour conversation about the relationship. They want someone who is genuinely okay, not performing okay, not faking okay, while secretly keeping score of every unanswered text actually okay. Someone whose sense of self doesn't depend on the avoidance validation on any given Tuesday. Someone who has their own life, their own passions, their own center of gravity. Someone who chooses them from a place of real fullness, not from fear of being alone, not from anxious attachment, not from a wound that makes them chase unavailable people, because it's what feels like love. That is the avoidance fantasy. A partner who is asterisk enough in themselves, asterisk, that the avoidant doesn't feel like they're being consumed by the relationship. Because here's the thing, avoidants don't hate love. They hate what love has always cost them. And if you can be the kind of person who makes love feel safe, safe to have, safe to keep, safe to lean into, you become something no avoidant has ever had. You become proof that their fear is a relic, not a prophecy. I need to be honest with you here, because I am not going to stand here and tell you that the secret to keeping an avoidant is just to love them more correctly. That's not what this is. What I am going to tell you is this. Most of us who end up in anxious avoidant relationships aren't just collateral damage. We are participants. We are often, and I say this with full compassion, because I've been here too, attracted to the unavailability. And that's worth sitting with. Wait, I told you at the beginning to leave a comment. If you've already done it, great. If not, go and comment first. It only takes 1 second, but it helps this video reach a lot more people. And don't forget to subscribe too. There's something about the chase, the intermittent reinforcement, the highs and lows, the way their rare moments of warmth feel like winning something, not just receiving love, but earning it. That hits a very specific wound. And that wound usually started long before this relationship. It started in a childhood where love was inconsistent or conditional, or withheld until you performed correctly, where you learned that love is something you have to work for, prove yourself worthy of, earn back every time it disappears. So when you find someone who makes you work for it, who is sometimes warm, sometimes gone, sometimes present, and sometimes a mystery, part of your nervous system says, yes, this is love. I recognize this. It feels like home because it rhymes with the original wound, not because it's good for you, not because you're broken, but because we all move toward what's familiar, even when what's familiar is painful. So the work of understanding avoidance is not just the work of understanding them. It's the work of understanding yourself, why you're here, what need this relationship is feeding, what story you're living out, and whether that story is one you actually want to keep telling. Let me tell you what the avoidant is actually fantasizing about, not the abstract version, the real one. They're fantasizing about a relationship that feels light. Not because it's shallow, but because it's not suffocating. They want to come home and not have the weight of someone else's emotional state land on them the moment they walk in the door. They want to spend a weekend doing their own thing and not have that translate into a relationship crisis. They want to love someone without that love becoming a cage. And here is the profound irony. The more you chase them, the more you confirm their deepest belief that love is exactly the cage they've always feared it would be. And the more you pull back, genuinely pull back, not as a tactic, but as a reflection of your own self-respect and your own fullness, the more they start to wonder, wait, where did she go? Where did he go? What is she doing? Does he even miss me? Am I less important to them than I thought? And for the first time, the avoidant experiences something unfamiliar in a relationship. Space that they didn't have to run away to create. Space that was offered to them freely. And in that space, something interesting happens. They breathe. They relax. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes, they come back. Not because you chased them back, because you finally gave them somewhere to come back to. I want to be precise here, because this is the part most people get wrong. Playing to the avoidance fantasy is not pretending you don't have needs, performing independence you don't feel, suppressing yourself until you're invisible. That is not the fantasy. That is self-abandonment, and it will hollow you out. And eventually, you will snap, you will come apart at the seams, and you will become exactly the thing that confirms their fear. Playing to the avoidance fantasy is about becoming genuinely full. It's about having a life so full and so real that you're not waiting, you're living. It means you stop making the relationship the entire ecosystem of your emotional world. It means when they go quiet, you don't spiral into a shame tornado. You go do something that matters to you. It means you don't overfunction, you don't over-explain, you don't send the paragraph, the 6 texts, the voice note that says, I just want to understand what happened. It means you get secure, not fake secure, actually secure in your own value. Because here's the truth about avoidance. They are highly attuned to inauthenticity. Their nervous systems have spent decades scanning for threat, for emotional demands they won't be able to meet, for the moment when love becomes loss. They will sense if you're performing, if you're using withdrawal as a tactic, if your independence is a costume. They always know. What they cannot resist, and I mean, this is someone who is genuinely not afraid to be alone. Someone who wants them, but doesn't need them to survive. Someone who makes the relationship feel like an addition to a life, not a substitution for one. That person is the one they think about. That person is the one they come back to. That person is, for the first time in the avoidance life, proof that love does not have to cost them everything. There's a concept I want to walk you through, because understanding this will save you so much wasted energy. Avoidants have what I think of as an activation window. It's the period of time, and it varies for every person, between when they deactivate and when curiosity kicks back in. Deactivation is when they shut down, go cold, withdraw, maybe disappear. And the thing most people do in that window, they panic and they pursue. And that keeps the avoidant in deactivation mode, because every text, every call, every "are we okay" extends their need for distance. But when you go quiet, when you actually genuinely pull your energy back, something different happens. The avoidant reaches the end of their deactivation cycle, and they look up, and you're not there. Not in a dramatic way, not in a punishment way. Just you've got your own life, and that activation window opens. They wonder, they reach out, they lean in. This is not manipulation. This is giving the avoidant nervous system what it actually needs to come back to you. Proof that coming back won't cost them their sense of self. Let's talk about the triggers, because knowing this can stop a lot of unnecessary pain. Asking for reassurance constantly. Every time you ask, "Are we okay?" or "Do you still love me?" or "Why are you being quiet?" Even if those questions are completely reasonable, they land on an avoidant like a demand. Their body reads it as, "You're about to need something from me that I don't know how to give," and they shut down. Making the relationship your primary topic. Asterisk, asterisk, if every conversation comes back to how the relationship is going, how they're feeling about you, what you are to each other, an avoidant will start to feel like the relationship itself is the monster in the room. Always there, always requiring attention. They will begin to associate being with you with being drained. Escalating when they go quiet. This one is massive. The avoidant goes quiet, you escalate. They go quieter, you escalate more. Within hours, you're in a full deactivation spiral, and you both feel terrible. What they need when they go quiet is not pursuit, it's room. Over-explaining your feelings. Asterisk, asterisk. Avoidants have a very limited emotional vocabulary, often because emotions were not modeled for them as children. When you send a long emotional message, they don't feel understood. They feel overwhelmed. They shut the door, centering your pain in the conflict. This is subtle but important. When you're hurt, your instinct is to express it, which is healthy and human. But there's a difference between saying, I felt disconnected from you this week and I'm missing us, and a 30-minute conversation about the impact of their behavior on your emotional well-being. The first they can hear, the second floods them. None of this means your feelings don't matter. They do, completely. But how you express them, the delivery, the timing, the quantity, determines whether they land or whether they become another reason the avoidant shuts down. Now the other side, because this is not just about what to stop doing, it's about what to start doing. Asterisk, asterisk. Give them space before they ask for it. This is counterintuitive, but if you proactively offer them space, not as a punishment, but as a genuine, hey, I've got stuff going on this week, let's reconnect next weekend, you take away their need to create it, and they feel respected rather than smothered. Show interest in their inner world without demanding access. Asterisk, asterisk. Avoidants have rich inner lives. They think deeply. They feel deeply. They just don't know what to do with it. Asking a question and then letting it breathe, not following up, not requiring an answer. That opens doors that demand slam shut. Asterisk, asterisk, be consistent. Asterisk, asterisk, here's the thing about anxious avoidant dynamics. The anxious partner is often inconsistent too. Sometimes calm, sometimes explosive, sometimes pursuing, sometimes punishing. That inconsistency actually feeds the avoidant's need to keep their guard up. But when you are consistently calm, consistently present without being suffocating, consistently someone who doesn't collapse, something shifts. They start to feel safe. Have your own anchors. Asterisk, asterisk, friends, work, creativity, passion, purpose. Not as a performance, for real. Because when you are genuinely invested in your own life, two things happen. You stop over-investing in them in ways that suffocate, and you become interesting. Avoidants are attracted to people who have depth, who are going somewhere, who don't need to be their entire world. Asterisk, asterisk, don't reward hot cold with hot cold. When they come back warm, don't punish them for the cold, don't withhold, don't be icy because they were icy. That just confirms relationships are battlefields. Receive them, be warm, be consistent, let them experience that coming back doesn't cost them. I have to say something here that is hard. Because for all of this to work, for any of this to actually be possible, you have to grieve something first. You have to grieve the relationship you wish you had. The one where they texted first, where they said, I miss you unprompted, where intimacy didn't feel like navigating a minefield, where you didn't have to study someone's psychology to feel loved. That relationship with this person might not be available. And holding on to the fantasy of it, the idea that if you do everything right, if you become perfectly secure, if you understand their attachment style well enough, they'll finally give you the relationship you've been starving for. That hope can keep you in something that is genuinely hurting you. Here's the line I want you to draw. Understanding an avoidant and adjusting how you show up with genuine self-respect, that is healthy. That can create a real, deep connection. It has for a lot of people. But contorting yourself into someone smaller, quieter, less needy, less alive, hoping that eventually they'll see how low maintenance you are and reward you with their full presence, that is not a relationship strategy. That is slow self-erasure, and you deserve more than that. You deserve a relationship where you don't have to earn your right to be upset, where you don't have to calculate how much feeling is too much feeling, where love isn't a puzzle you have to solve correctly every single day, or you lose access to it. If the person you love is an avoidant, and they are genuinely trying, going to therapy, examining their patterns, willing to show up, even imperfectly, then understanding their psychology is one of the most loving things you can do. But if you are the only one working, if understanding their avoidance has become your full-time job, and they're not doing anything with the space you're creating, that is not a relationship. That is a vigil. And at some point, you have to ask yourself whose life you're living. I want to end here because I think this matters. Avoidance can change. Not all of them do. Not without work. Not without their own willingness to look at the fear underneath the armor. But the ones who do, the ones who move from avoidant towards secure, almost always say the same thing about what made it possible. They found a partner who didn't confirm their fear. Every previous relationship had confirmed it. Love equals loss of self. Getting close equals getting consumed. Letting someone in equals losing control. But then someone came along who was different. Not perfect. Not endlessly patient in a martyred way. Actually different. Someone who had their own life and loved them from it. Someone who didn't chase them into a corner. Someone who, when they pulled away, didn't collapse, just kept living. Someone who made security feel possible. Not by being a saint, but by being genuinely whole. And in the presence of that person, the alarm got quieter. Not immediately. Not without stumbles. Not without the avoidant still occasionally running when the closeness got overwhelming. But quieter. And slowly, they started to believe something they'd never believed before. That they could be loved without being devoured. That intimacy didn't have to be a threat. That staying didn't have to mean disappearing. And that right there, that shift is the most profound thing that can happen in a human relationship. It's not magic. It's not manipulation. It's not tactics. It's two people, each doing their own work, slowly learning to meet each other in a place that is safer than anywhere either of they have been before. That's worth trying for. When both people are trying, that's the key. Both people. So let me land this for you. If you love an avoidant, here is what I want you to take from this. First, their withdrawal is not about your worth. It is not evidence that you are too much, not enough, too needy, too boring, too intense, too anything. It is the automatic response of a nervous system that learned very early that closeness was dangerous. Second, you cannot love them out of it. More love, more pursuit, more accommodation does not fix attachment wounds. It may even reinforce them. What shifts things is security yours first, then there's third. Do the inner work. If you are anxiously attached and you keep ending up with avoidant partners, that is data about you as much as about them. Not as a judgment, as an invitation to look at what wound this dynamic is touching. To figure out why unavailability feels like love to you. To go get your own nervous system regulated. Because here's the thing. Two people with healed or healing attachment styles, that's a relationship that has a chance. Two people locked in the anxious avoidant dance, each triggering the other's deepest fear. That's not a relationship, that's a trauma reenactment. Fourth, know your line. There is a version of this where you understand avoidant attachment. You grow in your own security, you create genuine space, and the person you love rises to meet you. And there is a version where you do all of that, and they still can't get there. Knowing which version you're in and being honest about it is one of the most important things you can do for yourself. Fifth, you are not responsible for healing them. You can be a healing presence. You can create the conditions for someone to feel safer than they've ever felt. You can be for them the first proof that love does not have to be a war. But you cannot do their healing for them. You cannot love someone into security they haven't chosen to find. And you cannot pour from a vessel you've emptied trying to keep someone who isn't willing to stay. The avoidant fantasy is a relationship that feels like freedom. Not absence. Not alone. Freedom. The freedom to love without losing themselves. If you can become the person who offers that not by shrinking, but by being so full and so genuinely okay that the relationship feels like addition rather than demand, you become the one thing the avoidant never believed existed. Proof that their fear was always a lie. And that changes everything. If this reached something in you, if you've been living in this dynamic, and today something clicked, drop safe in the comments. Let me know you're here. Let me know you're doing the work. You are not alone in this.